Good morning, everyone. One of the really great things about our job, working in communications and PR, and thanks for all the great plugs for PR this morning, really appreciate that, is that we get to work with really amazing people. So one of our, kind of really thrilling clients is to work with the team at Entrepreneurial Scotland. It's really exciting, keeps us really buzzy. We get to meet lots of really interesting people like yourselves. But we also work across a whole range of different sectors. And over the last 20 years, genuinely, I've had some of the most amazing experiences, the most stimulating conversations, the most challenging work, working with people in the public sector. And that's included people in justice, people looking at how we look after people who are in custody. It's included sort of technical things like what we do with electronic monitoring in a digital world. It's also included health and education, just a whole range of things. And for me, it's really exciting to be part of Entrepreneurial Scotland, as Sandy said, where we're looking at everybody who has that entrepreneurial mindset and what they can bring to Scotland's economy and society. So it's really great to be here and to be able to introduce this next session. And a particular pleasure to be starting the session by introducing Rod Mountain. Rod not only has a great name, he is an ENT cancer surgeon. You're all going, my goodness, But he's also Associate Postgraduate Dean and has worked with the NHS in Edinburgh and Dundee for over 30 years. And I said to him, gosh, that sounds really academic. And he said, no, I'm not an academic. What I'm about is taking ideas and getting them out there and making them really work. And so one of the things that he's going to talk to us a bit about, which I think is really interesting, is a thing called the Academic Health Service Partnership for Tayside. And what that is an umbrella for bringing together some really amazing collaboration between NHS, the University of Dundee, and also Duncan of Jordanson School of Art, which is part of the university now. And for me, that's really exciting because as a governor of Glasgow School of Art, I just want that world to be open to you all, so that you can reach out and see that creativity, the ingenuity, the clever people that are working there. So it's really thrilling to see that some of that's really happening now, that action is really being taken, because some of the most creative minds, some of the most entrepreneurial thinking is happening in these institutions, and it's kind of there. We just need to reach out and find ways to sort of make that kind of have an impact on our lives. So Healthcare Designed in Dundee is creating a real platform for changing the way healthcare is happening and what's going on behind those doors. It's a collaboration that brings together the sciences, technologies, humanities, computing, gaming, the business sector. They're all in there. So this is really exciting stuff. So I'm looking forward, as I'm sure you all will be, to hear from somebody who's at the heart of a very creative city, Dundee, the V&A, the Festival of Design. There's lots going on, and we're really looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rod Mountain.
Thank you, and thank you for that very generous introduction. I sometimes wonder how I got here, but I think I'm looking at the guy in the front here. Chris and I have known each other for a number of years, and I think we've had this entrepreneurial zest for life and the things we do. I'm in the public sector. Most of you are in the private sector, but I think there's a huge crossover, and there's a lot that we can actually do proactively. If I sit in I'm full-time public sector in the NHS, probably the biggest employee in Scotland. I think there's a lot that we can do within our sector to make ourselves far more efficient. You won't believe the waste that goes on in an NHS-based service. It can be improved upon by the people within the service. So I think there's a real vision I have of really starting early, bringing in education, developing our teams, our doctors, our nurses, everybody within the health service, and making them entrepreneurs. And if I go along to my colleagues in the health service and use this big word, entrepreneurship, they kind of glaze over. If you go along to them and you start talking about business models and money, they glaze over as well. That all needs to change. And I've invented a little ABC of how we can actually do this within the public sector and how we can bring our kids through. Mike Logie, I really valued that chat about children, bringing up our next generations, helping them, but also making them the entrepreneurs of the future. I think of the essential things we need in life to function as an active human being is using Maslow's sort of pyramid of a hierarchy of needs. You have to have your basic physiology at the bottom, and then you build on that. Safety, belonging, and then ultimately self-actualization of being that person that truly gets there. So I've come up with the Rod Mountain version of Maslow's development. I think we need to create environments for future growth for everybody. And that great vision that Entrepreneurial Scotland has of making it the most entrepreneurial country in the world. We've got to create environments for everybody. I've built my thinking around a language that I think all people can understand. Design, creativity, and things we can do to bring further generations along with us. If you break things down into my world, we sit in that big black circle in an area where we can create environments. We can use design, and I really stress the word design. Design brings a fantastic new language and an easy language to use with our public sector workers and maintain creativity. At the top is where I see Entrepreneurial Scotland business and really driving this and helping the economy grow. But in the middle, there are an awful lot of people that we can actually bring along with us. My day job as a head and neck cancer surgeon, I have to have two brains, two sides of what I do. The easy bit, the stuff I love doing is the operating. If you speak to any surgeon, they just love being in an operating theatre. The more difficult bit is me sitting in my cancer clinic on a Tuesday morning, and I see on average 4 or 5 people every week and have to break bad news to them, get into their shoes, and this whole discussion around cancer. That's what I do for a living. That's far more difficult to do and requires a completely different way of thinking. And I think this has drawn me into a little journey that I've taken probably for the last 5 or 6 years, is that I've got out of science mode and actually go down to Duncan of Jordanson College of Art and Design and see what goes on there, meet the students, the artists, the designers, and I've learnt a whole new language. And I think we need to start thinking a lot more on using our right brain, our visual brain, in tandem with our more scientific way of thinking, but doing them together. And really, I think we can grow a lot of what we do through the arts and the humanities, really using our brains effectively. This slide, I think, to my mind, is where I'm going to focus my time and energy for the next 10, 20 years, hopefully, within the public sector and using the language, the vocabulary, the tools that designers use. If I looked at the government proposals for how we change healthcare in the next 30 years, there's awful cost pressures coming our way, aging population, all these sort of things that are obvious to all of us. The challenges and the solutions they are putting forward are all, you can almost do a cut and paste onto design thinking. So in other words, looking at user-centered approaches, truly sitting down and seeing what people need. Communities, all the activity for the next 30 years in the NHS in Scotland is going to be, how can we care for you at home in your community and not have you coming in and using our expensive healthcare services? It's all about communication. It's a lot about innovation. When we've got a whole lot of projects running at the moment between medical students and art and design students, the design students are brilliant. They'll come along, they take risks, they'll prototype things, they'll come back. They're not scared to have a go. You come to a medical student, far more constrained in their thinking. We're creating a clash between art and science, and it's brilliant in the sort of new ideas that are coming forward. They also have a fun way of doing it and bringing that sort of enjoyment to what they do. So if you break down a design college, and we have them throughout Scotland, broadly speaking, it's product design, service design, digital environments. Digital, I would put way at the top of what we should be doing in putting all our time and effort into over the forthcoming years. It's where things are going to change. And then looking at better environments. And these are environments at home, in the community, and our hospital. These are all things we can learn from our design colleagues. I've just put this in as something that we're using as part of the design toolkit. Mike Press is a colleague of mine who's a service designer at Duncan of Jordanson, and him and his team have developed some fantastic service design toolkits. It's acting like a DJ. It's taking bits together, coming up with a new song, something different. Rip and Mix uses a tool where you get a team of people together, give them a challenge, and if I gave you the challenge, and how would you improve the nursing station that you come to as a patient when you come to our hospital? A team will sit down, they'll come up with all their traditional, more sciencey-based management approach to sorting that out. You then throw something into the mix and say, what would that nursing station look like if it was an Apple Store Genius Bar? What would it look like if it was John Lewis's? You throw something in, you can immediately see them all wake up and start thinking differently and come up with some fantastic new ideas. We do this quite often, and it's a fantastic tool. The other really interesting thing that I've stumbled into and I'm learning so much about is empathy. You would think that me, as a doctor, that we should be the people that know everything about empathy, and I can assure you we don't. There's a great way of looking at it. Empathy is standing in somebody else's shoes completely, seeing, hearing, feeling what that person is experiencing in the use of a product, the use of a service. It's a fantastic tool of looking at life slightly differently. I'd suggest that over the past 300 years or so, our society has been completely focused down a sort of Darwin, Freud, Maggie Thatcher sort of approach to life. The me, the completely self-centered, winner-takes-all type approach. There's a completely other side to our brains, and it's now being scientifically proven that we are programmed to be empathic people. Only 2% of a population have no understanding of empathy, and they are people with autistic spectrum disorders or psychopaths. Those are the no understanding of empathy. The study of empathy, empathy mapping, design ethnography, all the sort of stuff that comes through an empathic mindset, I think is a hugely useful tool, not just in the public sector, but probably in the private sector. We'd mentioned this new academic health science partnership that is developing in Tayside. This is really exciting. The NHS and the university have genuinely got together, got out of their silos. We live in the same building and have done for 20 to 30 years. We've now come together and we're able to actually create an environment where we can go out to investors, people in the private sector. We've formed a fantastic new partnership with Medtronic, a huge medical instrument company. We are chatting to the Digital Health Institute, to Scottish Enterprise. We now have created an environment where we can look out and link up public and private sector, third sector activities. I'm just a small fish in this pond of developments that are going on. And I've really started what I can only describe as more a philosophy of where we take design, particularly in Dundee. We have such opportunities, as you were mentioning early on, UNESCO City of Design this year, the V&A Museum of Design coming. Using design thinking in everything we do, I think there's a huge future. And I'm trying to grow this in Dundee. We're going out of the hospital, we're going out into communities, meeting real people with real challenges, sitting down with them and hearing their stories, and then coming back and developing the changes in our products and services. And I think that's the way we need to go in the future. So really, in summary, I think I would love, if I look to the future, to see what Entrepreneurial Scotland can do for everybody in our country. To look at my kids coming through a school where the Entrepreneurial Scotland logo is there, and some activity is starting at primary school, high school, our public sector. Creating environments, and these can be a wide range of physical spaces, online resources for stimulating entrepreneurship, a whole lot that can be done far more creatively. So I suppose my challenge to all of you, and it's a challenge to society, is let's try and create what a renaissance in Scotland. I think we can really do this. I think we have got quite a lot of Leonardos and Medicis in this room today, but there's a lot of people out there that I think we can help grow our economy as a consequence, using what I can only summarize as creative design environments where we can foster that whole entrepreneurial mindset. Thanks very much.